morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel that has been stagnant for 3 months now, which is so insane. I really have no idea how it went by so fast. Okay, I have a lot of ideas, and I'm going to tell you about it in this video. But firstly, if there is any noise disturbances or you see a big fluffy giant walking around, that's just Woden. I'm pet sitting for him at the moment. This is not the house that we're living in. So today is going to be our moving story and basically everything that went wrong, because that's pretty much all that happened. So that is also the reason why I have been gone for 3 months. It has been moving for about 2 months, well, moving issues for 2 months. And then it was exams, and then now we're about a week into the holidays. So it is starting to settle down now. So I really got back to you as soon as I could. But I'm just going to tell you what all has been going on. So much has changed, to be honest. I got a second tattoo, which I don't know if you can even see it, but I'll insert a picture. I got my second tattoo. I was gonna make a video about it, and then it ended up not happening because nothing else happened in my life. And I passed third year, just like, I don't know how. There was really a point where there was a very big chance that I would not be passing third year, and luckily we scraped through. But yeah, so we are officially halfway with vet science. It's just so insane. I have a lot of videos coming up about third year, how it was. I have moving vlogs, I have apartment hunting videos. A lot of things are coming. All the behind the scenes kept going on while I was not being able to actually make the video, so everything is lined up to be happening. It just hasn't happened. But before I start ranting too much, let me just get into today's video. So first off, when we found out that we were going to move, we had no plans of moving. We were not going to move at all, and if we were possibly going to move, it would be in about end of February, March of next year. So it really wasn't in any of our immediate plans. This happened back in September. But basically, we were living with our roommate, which was one of Edwin's friends, and he basically just went, he's leaving, so we have to put in our 2 months notice. So yeah, basically we stayed in a 3-bedroom house, and there was just no way that Edwin and I could continue to afford that on our own. That was why we had a roommate, to sort of help split the costs and everything. So we had to go, which was honestly very, very sudden with no warning, and we were told, I think, 2 days before we actually had to put in notice. So we were not prepared at all, and we were honestly really shocked. But we were like, okay, you know what? Especially me, I was just like, you know what, this is going to be a good thing. We are going to handle this. Because I was solidly panicking, because the weekend that we would most likely be moving would be the last weekend of November, which is also the weekend before my exams start. Okay, my exams are going to start that Monday. Also, the end of the year is always hectic because assignments need to be finished, final preparations for the exam need to be done, all the final work of the curriculum has to be squashed in. I don't know why it's always squashed, but it was going to be insane, and we knew it. So I just very much told myself that this was going to be a good thing. We are going to make a good thing out of this. It's going to be Edwin and my first home. You know, we had moved in about 6 months ago, more than 6 months at this point. But at that point, we had been living together for about 6 months. But this would be the first home that was just ours. So I was like, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good thing. We're going to find ourselves a perfect home that we can stay in for the next 3 years while I finish my studies. And, you know, we were really excited. We were like, we are going to be excited about this. And so we started looking for a place, and I think it was about 2 weeks in, we had our first disappointment. It wasn't major. We found a really nice house. It was a semi 2-bedroom. It had 2 bedrooms, but then it didn't have a living space. It had a kitchen in the 2 bedrooms and the bathroom. But, you know, still 2-bedroom with a nice yard for the dogs and everything. So we were like, okay, this could really work. It was in a pretty good area, you know, all good. And then they didn't want to reserve it for us to only move in November, because then they would technically lose a month's rent. Even though we were willing to put down the deposit and everything, they were like, oh no, they don't want to keep it for us. And so we actually, this is also a minor disappointment looking back at everything that we went through, but we actually found the perfect place. Edwin and I actually went through a lot of internal struggles afterwards, because we knew we could not take it because it was about 50 kilometers from campus, which is a bit far. But then the agent ended up having another place also in our budget. It was like a little bit of, it was like 100 grand over our budget. So we were like, eh. And it was in pretty much an area that we were looking for. It was pretty much, for a lot of different reasons, it was going to be perfect. And we went to go look, and it was, firstly, it was such a struggle to go look because we arranged with the agent to go and look the one evening, and then we got there and we were like, hey, can you send us a more specific address, because she just gave us the area. And she was like, oh, why? And we were like, we're here to come and look at the place. And she was like, no, you said tomorrow. I was like, no, we said tonight. And it was actually on text and everything, so it was a frustration, but you know, we got there eventually. And when we walked in, we knew that we wanted to take the place. It had a gigantic yard. I mean, we had a big yard with a 3-bedroom house, and this yard was twice as big, okay? It was ridiculous. It had a massive yard, and we were like, this is what we're looking for, because we had such a struggle to A, find a pet-friendly place, and B, have a pet-friendly place that has a big enough yard for a husky mix and a Labrador mix, okay? It was a mission. So we were so happy. And then it was so safe, so secure, beautiful area. It was literally down the street from a park that I went to as a little kid, so I was so excited about that. Edwin as well, he loves taking the dogs to the park and stuff, so we were like, this is great, we can do this, it would be so awesome. It was really safe. It had jacaranda trees down the street. It was all purple when we were going to go look at it. It was so beautiful. The flat itself was so neat, so beautifully done. It had all red cabinets, and like basically everything in the kitchen was red, which it was actually, when I walked in, I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. And within like 2 minutes, it completely grew on me, and it actually looked so nice. And it was really beautifully put together. It was right between campus and Edwin's work, so it was a perfect area. And it was a bit small. There are two downsides. Was that it was a bit small with no storage space. So it had like one small closet for our clothes, and that's it. So it was a bit small, and then it also did not have a connection point for a washing machine. But the owners were like, oh no, we can put that in for you, you know, we'll do that, you know, we'll just add it to the apartment, and then, you know, we can also just like, they were willing to build us like a little off dock thingy, like a little roof that we can have a storage space under, so that we have place to store our stuff. So we were like, okay, then it's perfect. So we ended up filling out an application. We got approved, we got the contract. It was honestly quite a mission to get the contract sorted out, because there were quite a few mistakes and double costs and random costs and stuff on there that we were just like, okay, this just needs to be talked out. And the agent just wasn't really interested in discussing the contract. So eventually we got a hold of the agent, and she and like their agency person, they both sat down with us, and we figured out all the stuff about the contract, sorted out all the rough spaces, we signed the contract, sent it in. And the next morning, literally we sent it in the afternoon, the next morning they called us, oh no, the owner had found someone else that didn't have dogs, and she's moving in right now. And this was a week before we were going to move in, and we were just like, excuse me, like what just happened? We literally already signed the contract and everything. But the agency was clever enough, if you want to put it that way, to have the renter sign first before the owner, so the owner was not committed to us, even though we were committed to them. So it was really a very big frustration and a really big disappointment. Adrian had moved around a lot, I have moved around a bit, and never have we, either of us, had the problem of signing a contract and then losing a place. So we were so convinced that this was going to be our home for the next 3 years, and all of a sudden it was just snatched away from us. So that night we went and got drunk. Not even gonna deny it, I'm actually proud of it. I feel like that was the best decision that we made in this whole freaking moving thing. So we went out and we just got some drinks. We actually got free shots because they didn't have the steak that Edwin ordered. So they're like, oh, we're so sorry that we don't have this. Here are some shots. And we're like, oh no, can we order something else that you don't have? So yeah, so we went through our little mourning period, and then we went on, we kept looking. So that was about a month in. Yeah, that was a month in. So we were like, okay, you know, it took some time, but we actually, you know, we finished well within time. And then we lost it. So we continued looking, and then Edwin got a message on Facebook because he made a post saying that this is what we're looking for and this is their budget, etc., etc. And the one woman was like, "Hey, do you still want a house? I've got a 2-bedroom house that's in your budget." And we were like, "Really?" So we went to go look, and we both just had a really good feeling about the place, and we got there, and it was a massive 2-bedroom house with a garden flat on the property that the owner was like, she's currently running her shop out of it, but it's moving by the end of the month. So then we can do with it what we want. We can put someone that we want in there. We can, literally do with it what we want. It was basically everything that the previous place was, with everything that the previous place lacked. So it had so much extra space. It had 2 storage rooms on the property, and then there was also like a little shop area that she had, like a little shop inside. And she was like, "Okay, well, you can use it as a shop or whatever you want to use it for. You can do whatever you want." Her mother had passed away and left her the house, but she lived like quite a while from there. So she was basically just running her business out of there, but it was too much of a hassle, so she was going to move her business to her new house as well, and she just wanted someone to take care of the house because she was sentimental about it. So she was literally going to give it to us for like, I don't know, like 3,000 rand under what she would be able to ask for it. Because it was this massive 2-bedroom place, 2 nice big bedrooms. It had high ceilings, which was so nice to me. It had a space for a study area. It had a massive kitchen with a double sink. No gas stove, but it's fine. And it had a massive living room, as in we didn't know what we were going to put in there to fill it, but it was so awesome. It had a medium-sized yard. It wasn't massive, but because the house is so big, I feel like that adds to the space of the dogs. So it was literally everything that we possibly wanted. We were so excited. And we left, and 2 minutes later we called her and we were like, "We're taking it." Because with the previous one, the red house with the red cabinets, we did wait a bit. I wanted to sleep on it to make sure, because we still had time to sleep on things at that point. So this one was about a week and a half after we lost that place. So we let her know that we want to take it, and she was like, "Okay, great." She'll draft up a contract and send it to us by the end of the weekend. So the next day we just sent another message, sort of to be like, "Hey, we're so excited," sort of just to like confirm, that we really want this place, and to like stoke the fire a bit. And then it turned out that her mother's will had not quite gone through, so technically the house belonged to her and her sister. And her sister wanted to put other people in the house because then she could get more money out of it. So she first had to sort things out with her sister, and we were like, "Okay, this is a bit nerve-wracking." And by the end of the weekend, she had been evicted from the house. So, yeah. I have no idea what went on there. I really don't want to know. But then we had just lost our second place. So then we had 2 weeks left to find a place. Then, on top of that, we were supposed to help Edwin's roommate move down to Cape Town. I think it's Cape Town. I don't even know where he is, but anyway. So we were going to help him move because Edwin has a big bakkie and he could take a trailer and everything, and it was going to be a lot cheaper than a moving company, even with all the diesel costs. So he asked us to help him move, and confirmed with us. So we planned like a whole trip down, because we were going to drive down for 2 days and drive back up for 2 days and spend a day there. So we were going to see his sister and her family, his brother and his family. We were going to see his uncle, his aunt, a lot of the family on his side that I haven't met yet because they're all down all the way in the Cape. We were going to spend a day on the beach there. We had this whole trip planned, and we were so excited for it to just sort of get away from all the stress of the moving, because moving and finding a house is stressful on its own. When you have 2 weeks left and you've lost 2 places, you sort of start to lose your shit. So we were so looking forward to this thing, and it was going to be our big break. A couple of days before we were going to leave, his roommate cancelled. So that was another disappointment and frustration, and at this point we were sort of just like, what, we're just losing everything that we care about. Like, it's just a given, we'll just not care. So it was really frustrating at this point, because we were literally getting nowhere and basically going backwards. It was really scaring me that I might not have a home. I might have a place that I could sleep at night, but I would not have a home. And it was really frustrating that a lot of people did not register that is a problem, because that has never been a problem that they have even remotely had to deal with. So we were really badly looking for a place. We went to look at so many places, and then when it was about a week out from when we had to move out from the place that we were, Edwin's dad went and he was like, "Listen, I'll help contribute, I'll increase your budget for the rent just so that you can find a place. And, we argued about it for a bit, but we were like, we're really not at a place to reject an offer like that. So we did that, and then we also increased the area that we were looking at, because we were really looking for a place that was sort of in between Edwin's work and university, because that would just be logical for petrol costs and everything and time. But the fact of the matter is that we're not getting anywhere. So we basically increased it to anywhere, and we increased our budget with quite a bit actually. And then 5 days out, we found a house. And we were so relieved. We were like, what? How is this happening? I mean, it's 5 days out. We're so lucky. And it was this beautiful house. It was we would need Edwin's dad's money to help pay for the place for us to afford it. But he was happy to contribute. So we were like, it's fine. It was in Linwood Ridge. So it was quite a bit from university. But we were just like, we can't really be picky. And also, I know of other students that live in more or less that area that we can have a carpool. It doesn't have to be an issue. It was a big 2-bedroom house with, oh my gosh, guys, it had a fireplace. Oh, I was so excited about the fireplace. It was so beautiful. I mean, it was a really small fireplace, but still, there was a fireplace. Okay, I'm always cold, and there was a fireplace. And then it had this big yard that could also be like separated to have the dogs either just in the front or the back or both, which is always nice, if you have guests over or the gate has to stand open for a bit, to just be able to put the dogs in the back. So we're really excited for that. It had like 2 bedrooms, and then the kitchen, the living room, and then just like a big open room, which we assumed that it was supposed to be for some sort of entertainment kind of room, but we don't really have entertaining stuff. So we were like planning what we're gonna do with that room, and it was within 24 hours. We had filled out the application, been approved, gotten the contract, and signed the contract. Okay, we moved quickly with this thing because we were like, we're running out of time. And then it was the afternoon, I think. I was like, whatever. But it was after we had signed the contract and sent it in, because when we got the contract, it was more expensive than what it was advertised for. But we expected that, because they did say on the ad that like tax and stuff wasn't included, which is annoying. Like, why wouldn't you include it? Because it has to be paid, so just include it. But we were like, okay, we knew this was gonna happen. But then after we had already signed the contract, the owner was like, oh no, but garbage disposal and sanitation is not included, which was like in a tiny little clause that I missed. Apparently Edwin saw it, but then we didn't really know how much it was going to be, so that wasn't included either. So that also raised the price. Then the guy was like, oh yeah, and you have to pay 250 rand a month for gardening services. And we were like, but the agent said that it was included. And so we talked to the agent, and the agent was like, okay, I know I said it was included, so I'll go talk to him and argue this point, but if he does not want to budge, are you happy to do it yourself? And we were like, yeah, no, we're happy with that. And so try and fight for it to be free, but if he doesn't want to, then we'll just do it ourselves. And the guy went and was a bit of a dick. And he was like, no, you have to pay me to do it. So we weren't allowed to tend our own garden and cut our own grass, which is also a frustration, because honestly, it's often easier for us to do it because we've got the 2 big dogs, and often if the garden services come, we need someone to be home to put them away and let them out and stuff. So at the end, with all that costs of the tax and the garbage disposal and sanitation and the gardening services and all of that, after all of that had been included, the price per month was raised by about 1,000 rand. So then it was out of our raised budget. So we were like, what's... So at that point, I lost it. I'm not even gonna lie, I completely broke down. I screamed when I found out. I was just so over it and so stressed, because I was supposed to be focusing only on vet school at this point in the year. I'm supposed to only be doing my assignments and my classes and my test prep and my exam prep. And I don't even get to do that because of how all of this is going down. So this was the Friday before exams started. So I had a breakdown, complete breakdown. And yeah, it was Honestly, this whole thing has been the most stressful time of my life. I went through so many health issues, like literally days where I would just be so sick that I could not move. Then it would be stuff like, it would feel like I had the flu, or I would have like a stomach bug for a day, and like such random stuff. And it would always just be for a day, just enough to bring me down and make me be behind with work, and then make me stress more. And I got acne for the first time, and like, I mean, since I was 13 years old, it's been nearly 10 years since I've had acne, and I got like proper acne problems, and I had stomach cramps from stress, and like it was honestly just such a horrible time, and we were both so stressed. And it was, I was so worried about what are we going to do because we have nowhere to go. It was really a horrible time and really stressful. So the next day I went to my parents' house to be able to study because Edwin was putting all of our stuff in storage because we did not have a house in like 3 days from then. So I was basically in a state of freaking out constantly. I was so torn between needing to look for a place to live because we needed to have a place to live, and studying because I was having to write exams in 2 days and I had not done any preparation because we were looking for a place to live. My first focus was my life. My second focus was vet school and all its crap. You know, I come first, and that was a very strict rule for myself all throughout this year, and one of the only reasons that I stayed sane. And that was also why I was losing it, because my sanity had become my insanity, because I could not be taking care of myself anymore. And that was the only thing that I could sort of manage throughout the year. So I went and I tried to study, and so my dad continued looking at places. And it's actually amazing how many people told us to just adjust our budget. And I mean, friends and family did it with good intentions, but a lot of people just didn't get that this was literally all that we had to spend on a place. I mean, there are a lot of extra costs that we still need to take into account, food, water, electricity, petrol money, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a need for me because of how much of the university stuff is online. So we can't just adjust the budget. I mean, this is the maximum that we are able to spend. So you really think we would reserve some money if we were 3 days away from being homeless? So, like so many agents and friends, and but especially agents were like, can't you just adjust the budget a little? Like, no, we can't. I mean, I have basically no respect left for agents. I would call them about a place that said certain things, and then I would confirm these things, and they would confirm it with me, and then we would get there and they would be like, oh no, this isn't there. Like something like water is included, and then it wouldn't be included, or they would have like a bunch of stuff included and then it wouldn't be anymore, or it's pet friendly, and then we get there and they're like, oh no, no pets allowed. And I'm like, I called you this morning to ask that. Oh yeah, but they never have a reason. It's not even like they didn't know, they just don't have a reason at all. And then there were also so many agents that, suggested that we got rid of our dogs. And, there was even the one lady that started like cocking Edwin out because how dare we have dogs because we make her life so difficult. She can't find places for people with dogs, and now she can't get her money. Put the phone down in her ear and just like, yeah, ranted to each other for an hour. But, we literally had to tell the one agent that we would be homeless before we gave up our dogs. And honestly, that was what we were looking at, because a lot of the main reason that we weren't finding a place was because places aren't pet friendly. And it wasn't an option for us to give the dogs up. It was never an option. It was never something that we even vaguely considered. But anyway, so I went back to studying, and my dad was looking at places, and I basically told him, listen, just leave me alone. Either I'm going to be looking at apartments or I'm going to be studying, but I can't do both anymore. So he was like, okay, great, I'll do the apartments. And I was studying, and he was going up and down and calling and hearing if places are pet friendly, hearing if they're in the budget, hearing this and that. And I was probably studying for about an hour, or pretending very hard to, trying my best. About an hour later, my dad came, and he was like in a complete rush, and he was sort of flustered. He said, I found a place, it's pet friendly, they have people that are interested, but they haven't called back, so if we leave right now, we might get it. And I was like, right now? And he was like, yeah, right now, can you go? And I was like, yeah, sure. I honestly at that point didn't care. I didn't care about the exams, I didn't care about the house, I was just so numb. And I wasn't excited about this place at all either. I was just like, we've looked at probably 30 places at this point, if not more. And, we're not in any of them, so why would we be in this one? So we got in the car, I drove us there, he gave me the rundown. It was actually in our original budget without the added money from Edwin's dad. So I was like, okay, that's cool. It was in our original area that we were looking at, that's between Edwin's work and campus, which is great. It was just a couple of streets down from Edwin's dad's house, actually. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, cool. We've looked at a lot of houses in that area. This one won't be any different. So we went and we got there, and they told us about the girl that, well, it was her parents that were coming to look for her because she was also studying for her final exams. So they had been there that morning and they had been very enthusiastic about the place, but they hadn't given an answer. But as they were looking for the keys, the people called and we were just like, don't answer it. And they were like, but, and we were like, don't answer it. Like, the guy whose phone was ringing was like, but I feel like I have to, and his husband was like, no, just don't answer it. And eventually we just told him for long enough that we could at least look at the place, and I do sort of feel bad, but I do also feel like I had been screwed over enough that I was not going to step aside and be nice at this point. They eventually found the keys and we went to go look at the place. So we walked in and I looked at the garden and I was like, okay, you know, this isn't bad. That's not bad. It doesn't look too bad. It actually looked really neat. And I was like, okay, it's not a bad size. And we walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to take this. Oh my gosh, I just got like a little surge of excitement from remembering this. Like, honestly, pretty much all of this I blocked out the moment that we moved in because I was just like, you know what, it's over. I can't deal with this. So I'll have an apartment tour up with one of the videos, and it was this massive open plan kitchen, dining room, living room area. It was probably, honestly, one of the best apartments that we had seen in the 2 months that we were looking. Okay, it surpassed pretty much all the other places, maybe being topped by the 2-bedroom house that we were hoping to take, the second house that we were hoping to take, just because the second one was so much bigger. It was really beautiful. Then it doesn't have like a proper door to the bedroom, but it has like a doorway. There's just no door. So it's sort of open plan to the bedroom that was also pretty large, and then the bedroom sort of extends into a massive closet that had like the one wall was lined by closets, and then at the end there's a bathroom. The bathroom wasn't massive, but you know, you really don't do much in the bathroom. We had a shower and a bathroom and a beautiful sink. I loved the sink. So I literally walked through it once, then I went outside, took a video of the garden and the apartment. I sent it to Edwin. He asked for their bank accounts, like their banking details. He paid the first month of rent and a month worth of deposit, and we moved in the next morning. But the weirdest part though was that they had advertised that place on all the platforms that we were looking at for 2 months, and they had no one come and look at it. How the hell does that even happen? So I suspect what happened was that they put it up in Afrikaans, and that's why it just never, we never saw it because we always searched in English. And then they happened to put it on Facebook the previous evening. Someone else posted it for them because they didn't even have Facebook. And then it happened to be that my dad was looking on Facebook the next morning. So it was like, with every single one of the places, we were like, oh wow, God just planned everything perfectly for this thing to work out. And then when we got to that one, I was just like, I didn't even know you could do this. It was honestly so insane how quickly and how perfectly everything worked out. And honestly, I have so much respect for Edwin because he literally saw the place on a video, paid quite a lot of money for the first months of rent and a deposit for a place that he hadn't seen yet, to people he hadn't met yet, and he only saw it when he showed up the next day with the first load of stuff that we were moving in. So I honestly, I admire how much he trusted me to literally pick the house without him having seen it at all. He didn't even know the address, he knew nothing. To be honest, I still don't understand how so many things went wrong. A lot of these things, it's like, you don't ever hear of it going wrong, and if you do, it's like once in a blue moon. And it literally happened 3 times to us, and every single time it was something different that went wrong. First we signed a contract, and then someone else moved in, which I've never heard of happening to anyone. Then we were going to sign a contract, and the owner got evicted. Then we did sign a contract, and the rent went up with 1,000 rand. Yeah, so this is what has been keeping me busy for the last 3 months. Obviously after that we started unpacking, and it was exams and all of that, so that was also happening at the same time. I was unpacking the whole house while it was exams. So yeah, that is why I haven't been posting. Also, we lost our Wi-Fi a month into our 2 months notice, so I couldn't post because all the data that I had I was using for my classes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys very soon for the next one. Bye guys!